I'm reading part of a January 1940 Der Stürmer. You can see the cover on the left, and you can see the two pages I'm reading on the right, the original German. So here is the first article I'm going to read in English. It says, Letters from a French officer. And this is interesting because don't we see this today, right? We can't name the Jew. Well, what happened in 1940? Law on the protection of Jews in France. Instead of Jew, one must say inhabitant. It's unbelievable. In France, Jews are under the special scrutiny of a Jew. Anyone who uses the word Jew is brought to court for incitement to hatred. Holy cow, haven't we heard that? Newspapers therefore anxiously avoid the word Jew. One well known anti Jewish Parisian newspaper is El Action Française. It does not miss the opportunity to point out the growing Jewish danger in France despite the law on the protection of Jews. In one of its last issues, this newspaper, according to a report in the Italian newspaper Il Regime Fascista of December 7th, 1939, prints a letter from a French officer who, in his official capacity, has insight into the conscriptions to the front. The letter from this Frenchman reads, quote, I enlisted on August 29th, 1939. Since that day, I have had to make the following observation. The residents, that is what the anti-German newspaper El Action, I don't know if it should be if that should be anti-German or anti-Jew. The, I'm not sure. So anyway, um, has to write in order not to violate. That should be an anti-Jew newspaper. Sorry, that's translated wrong. Has to write in order not to violate the anti-Jewish law. By residents, they always mean the Jews, who appear everywhere in peacetime, who attack everything, who intrude everywhere, have become invisible in the French military. Now, I've read other articles where the Germans said the same thing. Continuing, at the headquarters of the 2nd Mobilization Command XY, I don't know if that's correct, I saw how several infantry regiments of the 1st Reserve and pioneer regiments, also of the 1st Reserve, were assembled. I did not encounter a single Jew there. Not a single Jew was to be found among the officers, non commissioned officers, and enlisted men. Where have they disappeared to? Those Jews or residents who call themselves French. This observation has been made by many of my comrades among the officers who constantly ask themselves, where have the residents or Jews gone now during the war? Surely they aren't in the regiments. Where are they then? What are they doing? What kind of evil are they hatching now? That was how it was once in Germany, too. The Jews were the shirkers in the World War. And when, after the World War, the hatred against the Jews grew even greater, they achieved what today's France gave them a Jew shot. Anyone who spoke the truth about the Jews was put on trial. National Socialist Germany put an end to the matter. National Socialism turned the stick. It shot I don't know what that, a shot a something to the shot of German blood and German honor, thereby depriving the Jew of his opportunity to continue committing his devilry with impunity. And then under that, it says Spain against the Jews. The Spanish Civil War was instigated by the Jews. The victory in Spain was therefore a victory over the criminal Jewish people. If the new Spain wants to protect itself from new misfortune in the future, then it must watch out for the Jews. The Spanish Minister of State, Serrano Sunner, openly admitted during his visit to Rome that Spanish statesmen today know where their people still face danger. He said, quote, with the same decisiveness with which Spain pierced the various iron belts on the battlefields, we will remove the other obstacles that hostile Jewry intends to place in our path. Unquote. And it says the new Spain is moving toward a happy future because it knows how to keep its path clear from the devil. This devil, however, is the Jew. And here's the second page. It says the Satan of New York. What the stock market Jew expected from the Führer's, uh, I don't know, Führer code, not sure. On November 8th, 1939, the infernal machine of the assassin, George Elser, who was in English pay, was supposed to destroy the Fuhrer of the German Reich. On November 9th, 1939, the New York newspaper, the New York Journal and American wrote, quote, if the bomb had kept time a little better, the war could now be over and at the same time put an end to the wartime boom in stocks. With brutal openness, the New York newspaper Jew says to the whole world that he would have liked to have seen the life of the Fuhrer of the Germans end on that November 8th, so that his stock business could have been put back in order. uh, unbelievable. On the bottom left, Christians in the synagogue. Rabbi Ehrenpreis preaches in Sweden. And it says the Paris based Jewish weekly newspaper Affirmation reports in its August 1st, 1939 issue that Rabbi Ehrenpreis is giving his sermons in Swedish cities to an exclusively, I think it should say, Christian audience. And he said, quote, today, one distinguishes so many classes of people. There are rich and poor people, consuls and directors, free thinkers and fascists. But where does one speak of people? Today, one has forgotten the precept, love your neighbor. He is your brother. Today, one encounters only human enemies, creatures who hate one another. Unquote. The fact that there are people in Sweden who are capable of listening to Jewish sermons shows the power that indenturedness has already achieved in the Nordic countries. It would be better if these Swedish Christians opened their Bibles and read what Jesus of Nazareth said about the Jews. Your father is the devil, and he has been a murderer from the beginning. It would also be good if these Nordic Christians read in the Jewish book of laws, the Talmud, what devilish words the Jews think and speak among themselves about the non Jews. They would then learn what the Jews mean by quote unquote neighborly. If the Jewish book of laws, the Talmud, it is said that the non Jews are like a bit, it says a bishop, I don't know if that's the right word, with whom one can do whatever one wants. But I think it's not bishop, it should be an animal, right? Because the Talmud says that non Jews are animals. Under that, it says, whoever fights against the Jew wrestles with the devil, right? Because Stryker and the Germans knew that the Jews were of Satan. They were not the people of the Bible. Well, they were the enemies within the Bible, but not God's chosen. So, top right, Jews pray for England. The Jewish newspaper B'nai B'rith Messenger, which I've talked about the B'nai B'rith in other videos, published in L.A., announced in its issue of September 22nd, 1939, that the chief rabbi of London had ordered that following the prayer for the English king, the following prayer for England's victory should be recited every Sabbath. Quote, the spirit of corruption has come upon a famous people. Its rulers proclaim idolatry, the worship of race and blood. Struggle, devastation, and destruction make their path. They violate the borders of other peoples and do not know the path of peace. The quote unquote famous people spoken of in this Jewish prayer is, of course, Germany. The time will not be far off when the English king and his people will see that they have gone to the dogs with the quote unquote Jewish prayer, right? Because it's really the Jews that are causing the struggle, devastation, and destruction. So, and who violate the borders of all peoples. Under that was a picture of a guy who unfortunately got shot in the face, and it says a sacrifice. This Arab was murdered by a Jewish gunman in Jerusalem. And that's all I had there.